Austin Sims.
What's up, y'all?
Yo.
Sorry, it looks like I'm a little late.
No, you're good, man. We were literally just spitballing some things about Kent. For those of you who don't know, Austin debated Kent,
Yeah.
and if you don't mind, can you give me a little summary of that and the people who might not know?
This is what happened. My grandmother, who is the one who got me out of young earth creationism, passed away. So I decided I was going to try and help some people out who had been, tricked, bamboozled, trapped in young earth creationism, and started putting it out there that, I would take a debate, I would talk to somebody, I would try and convince them that creationism is wrong. And that's when I met this golden individual named Eric Jewell. And if you know Eric Jewell, you know I'm being sarcastic when I say golden individual. Eric Jewell is a piece of work. He basically runs a channel that's like a creationist North Korea. He lures people into his channel, promising to debate them, but he turns out to be the moderator himself, and he will mute you and talk over you and have a very one-sided interaction where he's not actually trying to hear your arguments. He's just basically ranting over you. I debated him 4 times despite these disadvantages to appearing on his platform, and I still wiped the floor with him all 4 times.
So, so just to be clear, this dude was moderating his
Yeah.
own debate.
Yes. And in 2 or 3 of them, actually, he had another person show up and pretend to be the moderator while he still had moderator privileges himself, which we had expressly agreed upon was not to be the case after he started muting me during the second debate. The third debate was more polite. And then the
Wow.
fourth debate, he started doing it again. And after that, I said I wouldn't debate him anymore, because also in the fourth debate, he was screaming, "Show me your sources." And I was literally posting my sources in the live chat and
There
on
are
the
no sources.
comments, and he was deleting them and erasing them and not looking at them.
Oh,
So, yeah.
super
So that
intellectually
was
honest guy. I love
that
that.
that was Eric Jewell, and I realized, man, this guy debates a lot like Kent Hovind. Could I go straight to the top, to the possibly most famous young earth creationist in the world, as just a random guy on YouTube, and wipe the floor with him too? And that's exactly, absolutely what happened. Donnie Badinsky ended up reaching out to me and was like, "Hey, do you want to debate Kent?" And I was like, "Absolutely." But what would a big famous doctor like Kent Hovind want to debate little old me on? Just evidence of evolution? And of course, he jumped on it because that's the debate Kent has done 5 million times.
Right.
I came in with 3 different angles that he wasn't ready for. I dropped all of them. The first one being evolution is quantifiable, falsifiable, possible solution to unanswered questions about natural history. The second one being the church fathers like Aquinas, Augustine, Clemens, Didymus, Irenaeus, Justin Martyr, etc., Origen, Maimonides, Gersonides, who all said that, it's possible that there's an evolutionary creation that's within God's infinite possibilities. And the third angle being God's infinite possibilities are infinite, and that includes evolution. And he didn't touch any one of those 3. He just ran his usual shtick. I played around with him on that after he didn't touch any of my 3 main arguments, and got him to say whale penis about as many times as I could. He said whale penis, like, I think 50 times over a span of like 15 minutes. One of my friends mixed it into a techno beat: whale penis, giant penis, giant penis. It was hilarious. It went really well. I used some interrogator techniques on him, and he didn't even realize like that I was actually being very sarcastic and making fun of him for most of the debate. He thought I was sincerely complimenting him. Uh, it went really well. I was really proud of the performance. Of course, his fans think Kent wins every debate because he's there defending God, so he can't lose. And
Right.
I called that out overtly and addressed that too. And I think it went really well for my part. Obviously, I'm biased. I was one of the participants, but I got a lot of compliments, and I didn't hear anybody say, "Oh man, you just beefed it,"
Well,
which I have seen some debates where people have beefed it against Kent.
Yeah, I mean, this is look, I could barely do a live stream with my friends, without a bunch of issues. So I'm not downplaying anybody who steps up to do a debate on this type of platform.
Yeah,
I got to respect the ability and the willingness to go do it. That being said, you know, Kent is very predictable. I don't want
yeah,
to say he's easy to debate because he's really not. He runs all these predetermined scripts. He doesn't have
yeah.
any way of making a new thought. But if you can get through
He,
those
he's
scripts.
all over the map too. He'll switch
Right.
topics and
Right.
go.
Well, he's really good at deflection. He's really good at, changing the subject and moving the goalpost and all of those things. Because when you
Yeah,
start coming in, especially somebody like you who's articulate and, you've got actual facts and knowledge to present instead of just the gish gallop that he does, he gets intimidated. So it's like
mhm,
he's hearing what you're saying, these 3 points, for instance, and then he's thinking, so you mean to tell me that everything came from a dot?
yeah,
And it's like, what? Non sequitur for 600? Like, what are we,
yeah.
what, you know? But that being his playbook, I would imagine going into it, especially if you were to do it now, it would just be like, just present things he doesn't have a script for. Is that
Yeah,
pretty much it?
basically, and you have to get him to actually bite on those things because he'll just ignore them if he doesn't want to. Like, so it's really shocking to me how, as a Christian pastor, he won't talk about the Bible in debates about evolution.
Absolutely refuses
It
to.
refuses to do it.
Right.
Well, I think that is precisely the issue, Seth, is he knows, as Delulu as he is, he's not Delulu enough to not see how anemic his theology is. It's a really bad theology. It's stilted, it's childish, it's ridiculously and woodenly literal, and it's not convincing to anybody but the most extreme hardcore fundamentalist, ingrained, indoctrinated, inculcated cult members. He knows that that theology, it looks really bad when it's exposed to a viewpoint that isn't sympathetic to it, that it's really easy to pick apart. And I did that a little bit in our debate, and of course he didn't want to touch that at all. Like, I brought up the argument about how you can interpret scripture both literally and as a literary device simultaneously. Like, when the Bible says, God is mighty, does that mean God is jacked with a six pack and huge biceps and
Right.
shoulders and a like demon back, like freaking, you know,
God never skips leg day.
right? Yeah. Or do you think it means that God is a powerful spirit? You can read
Right.
it both literally and as a literary device at the same time. And of course,
Right.
he didn't even want to touch that. Again, he won't talk about things like that while being a Christian pastor who pretends to be a doctor.
Right. Dade Murphy actually brought something up in a chat the other day, and I'm going to paraphrase it because he's way more, well spoken than I am. But he was talking about the fact that Kent, well, people like that buy into this type of, theology, are gullible people by nature to a certain extent, because the people who are asking questions, the people are saying, "Hey, this is not what the Bible says," or "This is by definition fascism." Whatever the case, they don't want those people. They want to go to the people who are like, "Man, you seen what is going on Facebook? I seen it on Facebook. It's got to be right." Oh, he's a preacher, man. He said, he's been preaching like 40 years. I believe everything he says. Those type of people, that kind of attitude, I guess, is more appropriate to say. That type of mindset is who he's going after. So it's almost like when you get somebody like you that comes in, or Professor Dave, or somebody that just blows him away intellectually, it's almost like he writes it off like the smart people already know I'm full of it anyway, so we'll chalk this up to a wash this time. Is that, I mean, I feel like that's sort of his approach.
You're getting into what I think is the most relevant aspect of this debate. The reason Kent Hovind still believes in creationism, and why most of the people in his audience that believe in creationism still believe in creationism, is because creationism is based around a presupposed dogmatic conclusion that you are to never sincerely even question. let alone actually discard, no matter how much evidence contradicts it, nor how well you're shown the evidence contradicts it. If you're shown evidence that contradicts the presupposed conclusion, you're not supposed to actually consider that the evidence might be valid and question and possibly discard the conclusion. You're supposed to find some way that the evidence is wrong. You're supposed to attack the evidence, or you're supposed to find some way to reinterpret it so that it doesn't undermine the
Right.
presupposed dogmatic conclusion. Kent knows that most of his audience is on that level. Most of his audience that are creationists, they have the presupposed dogmatic conclusion and they're never going to question it. I'm not there to convince them. I'm there to offer a viewpoint to people who are actually interested in sincerely questioning their worldview and stress testing it to see if it stands up to scrutiny and to refine it into a better version that does if it doesn't.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it can be easy to get distracted by trying to convince this person that's sitting across the table from you. Because in a way, that is kind of what you're trying to do. He's just a version of that person that you're never going to convince. Otherwise, he wouldn't be up on stage across the desk from you, you know?
Right. And I want to be clear too. I've had some people say, "Are you going to debate him?" Obviously, I've called him a couple times a while back. I have no intention of dealing with him directly, and I am not responding to him to change his mind. I'm hoping to put together a sort of a polished piece on this whacking to really show his destructive, high control, nature. That's
Yeah,
not for him. Like, I have lost hope for people like Kent because and I don't know if it's the sunken cost fallacy or if they are just their
that's
brain
part of it.
chemistry is so completely fried.
That's part of it too.
Um, and, that's sad. I have sympathy for that
Yeah,
because I wish he would have gotten better. But I don't do this for Kent. I do this for the people that are going to find him.
yeah.
And I think when you approach it that way, from a debate standpoint, understanding this is never going to change his mind as your opponent, but the people who find the video may actually look at it and weigh it for what it's worth.
Yeah. That's why when I debated Kent that I live streamed the whole thing.
Hmm.
Uh, and I asked multiple times about the demographics in his audience. I wanted to know what's the youngest person in your audience right now? Because
Hmm.
anyone who's over 25, they're probably not changing their worldview, no matter how compelling of an argument I make. So is this just for entertainment, or are there people here who will actually have their worldview changed? And of course, the youngest person in his audience was like 31 years old. It's
Yeah.
nothing but
Yeah.
adults and boomers.
Well,
Uh,
I will be
Sometimes he gets kids. They're really really young. They're not likely to
Mhm.
even remember it.
Right.
And sometimes people are listening in the audience and their kids are listening. Like after I had that debate, somebody mentioned in a comment later, my 7-year-old was listening and he was laughing while you were smearing Kent. So that's great to know that
Right.
there, even when there isn't anybody in Kent's specific audience, I might be reaching somebody in one of the other windows that's streaming, you know. So I think there is value to doing it.
Hmm.
Kent is slippery. His
Yeah.
platform is skewed in his favor, especially when he has favorable moderators. Yeah, it's tricky. You have to ride the line between being respectful and also telling him he's full of shit at the same
Right.
time.
And see, and that is a line that you do want to walk carefully because at least for me, I don't want to sit here and talk for 3 straight minutes about how he uses ad homs and disparages people, and then turn around and do it to
Yeah,
him, even though he is right for the pickings. It's
yeah,
like and we've talked about some of this before, me and you, and just so the audience knows, I've tried to take a very neutral and sort of compassionate and empathetic stance to this whole Kirk situation, not because he wasn't a really slimy, really destructive human, but in some self-reflection over this whole thing, it's because I was so much like Kent for so many years where it was like just expected to disparage,
yeah,
the LGBT community, any other religion, anybody who voted Democrat to such a really horrific extent. I try really hard these days to not take that low hanging fruit with Kent. I want to approach it as factually as possible, maybe a little bit of snark in there, but I don't want to cause those deep cuts that it does cause to some people when you start attacking them on certain levels. I don't want to be that guy anymore. That's just, for the record, where I'm at with a lot of stuff these days. And it's not to say that I'm justifying their behavior or that I'm not hard enough on them, so I must not be against them enough. Me personally, I was a really crappy person because of these beliefs, so I'm just trying to be better. That's it. Hope that makes sense.
There are sociological forces that keep people in place. Their primary group's opinion is very influencing on their own views. And a big part of getting somebody to change their worldview is to make leaving groups like that look attractive enough that they will do it. And it's hard to make that option look attractive if they see it as everyone outside of that group is attacking them. And that's part of why cult leaders will reinforce that mythology intensely in their followers, and you hear it and you see it. I saw comments underneath Donnie Deal's little video he did about the shooter saying, guaranteed this guy who killed Charlie Kirk was an evolutionist. Guaranteed he was a fucking evolution. Are you kidding me?
Right. Just zero evidence.
When has he ever said anything about evolution?
Yeah, I don't think we know
anything to do with anything.
And it doesn't, but what it does is exactly, it triggers the response of everyone who hears it. Oh yeah, he's an evolutionist, which means he don't believe in God. And it's probably because he wanted to go out and kill people. Well, story checks out. You believe in evolution, you end up shooting some, high profile conservative. That's the conclusion that Christians draw in their mind with that, and it's poisoning the well.
It's us versus them story
it's
maintained.
Slippery slope. It's poisoning the whale. It's us versus them.
And
it's all kinds of logical fallacies blended into one.
You've got the logical fallacy side, and then you have what I am going to get into more as I continue to get settled down and start streaming here more often. We're going to really start breaking down cult behavior as we know it, according to psychologists who see what this high control stuff does, and they've put it into lists, into categories, and we're going to start picking that aspect apart, because the us versus them mentality is a form of psychological warfare from the leadership to the followers to keep them in line, and those kind of things, coupled with everything else, it's a very destructive and a very toxic framework that it puts you in, once these things are implemented. So, man, here's the thing with Austin. I could sit here and talk with him all day about literally anything. Him and I got to spend some time together in real life up at the Ark Encounter protest, and he is officially part of the original cabin crew. So that will never change. Love you to death, bro. I'd love to have you back on to have a longer conversation about any of these topics. Chris is actually getting ready to go live, and I've got to jump and go run some errands.
Can I say one final thing?
I was going to say, I'm going to let you close it out, but you're welcome to hit me up, and we'll do this again.
So religion teaches you to disregard reason and rationality and to operate based on faith. And once you've disregarded reason and rationality and started operating on faith, it becomes really difficult to be correct about flipping anything except by pure accident. And that's what I'll end with.
That's a very good point. Very good point. The crew who's been here from day one, I love y'all like family. I honestly mean that. There's people that I'm starting to get to know that I genuinely care about, just like I do my own family. So, and then we've got new people coming in all the time. Thank you for being here. Shoot me a message. Let's talk. Conversations and interactions are what I'm here for. Not sub counts, not views, these type of talks, so we can get to the bottom of this stuff and we can have more conversations about Laura's dad. People like Laura's dad, honestly taking a look at what we're talking about and stepping away from it. That's my goal. So thank you guys for being here. Austin, it's been a pleasure. Chris will be live shortly to whack Kent while he whacks. I'm not going to finish that sentence. Just check out Chris's channel. Love you guys, mean it.
Yeah.
And just for spooky, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream on